backups, and one in case a third stringer on the depth chart could be starting at 4 positions for the Pittsburgh Steelers defense Sunday when they play the New England Patriots at Gillette Stadium. Isaiah Loudermilk, who is starting because of attrition at defensive end, and outside linebacker Alex Highsmith will miss the game because of high ankle sprains, Coach Mike Tomlin said Tuesday at his weekly news conference. Strong safety Deshaun Elliott remains questionable at best, according to Tomlin, who provided the same characterization for first-round pick Derek Harmon on the defensive line. Tomlin also said cornerback Joey Porter Jr. is questionable because of a hamstring injury, all of which means the Steelers could be starting their third option at defensive end and backups at outside linebacker, cornerback, and safety. Harmon has missed the first 2 games with a knee injury, and Loudermilk left in the first half of the Steelers' 31-17 loss to Seattle. Tomlin said Loudermilk's absence could be measured in weeks. Highsmith also was injured in the first half, but Tomlin said that injury isn't as serious as the one sustained by Loudermilk. Neither Elliott nor Porter played against the Seahawks. Chuck Clark started in place of Elliott, and the Steelers used Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay as outside cornerbacks in that game. Juan Thornhill played free safety. It's our job and their job to adapt and adjust, to put together the appropriate formula in terms of mixes of people, how we divide the labor up and what we do schematically, Tomlin said. Because of injuries, the Steelers had to scrap a plan in which they had 3 outside linebackers in the game on third down. That plan was altered in the first quarter with Highsmith's injury. Nick Herbig will replace Highsmith, and rookie Jack Sawyer could see increased snaps as the top backup to Herbig and TJ Watt. After Loudermilk exited, the Steelers used a rotation that included rookie Yahya Black, second-year player Logan Lee, who spent his entire rookie season on injured reserve, and veteran Daniel Equale. Esezi Odomwo, who was inactive the first 2 games, likely will move into the rotation against New England. It's not only their youth, it's our collective youth in this season that is 2025, Tomlin said. Injuries are a part of the game. Certainly you adapt and you move on, but it probably comes with more challenges at the early portion of the year. I think we've kind of felt the effects of that. In addition, inside linebacker Patrick Queen, oblique, and cornerback Slay shoulder are dealing with injuries sustained against the Seahawks. They are expected to play Sunday, although they may be limited in practice this week, Tomlin said. Defensive downer. Communication was an issue on the Seahawks' first touchdown when Torrey Horton was open on a 21-yard pass off play action. Ramsey was the closest pursuer, and he trailed Horton by several steps. It wasn't lost on Tomlin that, with Porter and Elliott missing the game, the Steelers had 4 veteran starters in the secondary who played elsewhere last season. Most of my concerns are centered around that, the level of cohesion and communication given the fact so many guys are new to us, he said. Seattle also converted 6 of 14 chances on third down, 2 on the opening drive, and 4 in the second half. 4 of the 6 conversions came when the Seahawks needed at least 6 yards for a first down. I just thought in general we could have been tighter in coverage and more solid in terms of some of our communication, Tomlin said. Oftentimes the tightness of coverage was a reflection of understanding and fluid communication. We have to get better in some of those areas. Tomlin didn't disagree that his defense wore down in the fourth quarter when the Seahawks went 73 yards in 7 plays and took a 2-touchdown lead when Kenneth Walker scored on a 3rd and 19 run. We had the desire to improve our run defense, Tomlin said. I thought initially we did, but there was an attrition component to the game, and our lines got a little thin at various points. Familiar face. The Steelers let Robert Spillane leave in free agency after the 2022 season, opting to remake the inside linebacker group around free agents Elandon Roberts and Cole Holcomb. After spending 2 years in Las Vegas, Spillane signed with the Patriots. New England coach Mike Vrabel had familiarity with Spillane from their days in Tennessee before Spillane hooked up with the Steelers. A backup with the Steelers, Spillane became a 2-year starter for the Raiders. He has started both games for the Patriots and has 6 tackles. He's evolved, and evolved in a big way, over the course of his career, Tomlin said. I have a lot of respect for him and his talents. He's an every-down situational player. He's a good communicator. He's a really good quarterback here, and he's really kind of the hub of communication and the center of all the things they do. The game also will mark safety Jabril Peppers' return to New England. The Patriots released him in August after 3 seasons with the organization. Peppers played 7 snaps, all on special teams, in his Steelers debut against Seattle. Being it's his second week here, I'm open to expanding the utilization of him not only as a team, but as a defender, Tomlin said. Help coming. The Steelers are adding to their wide receiver depth by signing former Buffalo Bills and New York Giants pass catcher Isaiah Hodgins, according to NFL reporter Jordan Schultz. The game plan was pretty simple for the Pittsburgh Steelers entering this season. New quarterback Aaron Rodgers didn't have to be Superman, but just being good would be enough for a team that should once again play stellar defense. So far, Rodgers has more or less lived up to his end of the bargain, but the defense is a major issue. So much so that ESPN's Brooke Pryor called the defensive performance through 2 weeks abysmal and believes the issue is real and could linger as Pittsburgh's season progresses. Despite fielding the league's highest-paid defense by nearly $25 million, the Steelers' defensive issues have been glaring through 2 weeks. Pryor wrote in an ESPN.com story about the NFL's biggest surprises through 2 weeks. From top to bottom, the defense is abysmal, and there don't appear to be any easy fixes on the horizon. Steelers' defense has been major red flag through 2 weeks. The Steelers haven't exactly played high-flying offenses through the first 2 weeks, either. They were fortunate to escape Week 1 at MetLife Stadium with a 34-32 win over the New York Jets, and the Seattle Seahawks scored 31 points last week to spoil the Pittsburgh home opener. The Steelers, as Pryor noted, ranked 28th in rushing yards allowed per game, allowing 100-yard rushers in each of the first 2 games while struggling to generate any sort of pass rush on top of the run game problems. Rodgers, meanwhile, has been a mixed bag. Perhaps motivated by getting revenge on his former team, he was sensational in Week 1 against the Jets, completing nearly 75% of his passes for 244 yards and 4 touchdowns. He followed that up with a dud against Seattle, barely completing half of his attempts while throwing a pair of interceptions, and should have had a third. Pittsburgh not making Rodgers' job any easier. For a half against Seattle, the plan looked to be working. Rodgers did next to nothing, but he did throw a touchdown pass in the final minutes of the half, and the Steelers took the 14-7 lead to halftime. However, the defense collapsed after recess, giving up 24 points to Sam Darnold and the Seahawks, underscoring the problem Pittsburgh faces right now. Sure, Rodgers can still throw, but I think he's only going to thrive if circumstances around him are ideal, and right now they are not. ESPN's Dan Graziano argued for ESPN.com. Fundamentally, this offense can be good, but I have my doubts about whether it can be great, which leads to my greater concern about the Steelers. How lousy the defense has looked through 2 games. He added, the Rodgers experiment is only going to work if he's supported by the Steelers' traditionally strong defense and special teams, and they've been extremely disappointing in those 2 areas thus far. It doesn't get much easier in Week 3. The Steelers are going to New England to take on the Patriots, who are coming off a strong showing in the best game of Drake May's young career. After that, though, there's reason for hope. An early bye following an Ireland game against a wounded Vikings team leads into a 6-game stretch leading up to Thanksgiving in which they play Cleveland, Cincinnati, twice, Indianapolis, and Chicago. I'm a believer in Mike Tomlin's ability to manage his team through a season and get the most out of it. How could you not be, given his track record? Graziano wrote. But we need to see some encouraging signs here soon. The Pittsburgh Steelers visit the New England Patriots Sunday, and each team is looking for its second win of the season. It will be a challenge for the Patriots, says their head coach Mike Vrabel as he prepares to face Aaron Rodgers. His operation is excellent, Vrabel said Wednesday via Patriots.com. His ability to find relief throws in plays that he doesn't think will be positive plays, he finds relief throws. It will be a great challenge to be able to find ways to affect him. Rodgers has seen 2 weeks of the 2025 season that have been very different. The first was wonderful, with Rodgers tossing 4 touchdowns passes in a win over the Jets and finding some wide-open receivers while doing so. Those same openings weren't there in Week 2 against the Seahawks. Arthur Smith schemed up a terrific game for Aaron Rodgers, but the offense's limitations really showed. the offensive line struggled, and Rodgers just didn't have a clean enough pocket to operate the offense like he'd hoped. Pittsburgh did run the ball better, but the lack of a run game has still been prevalent through 2 weeks. Smith and Rodgers are only 2 weeks into their experiment together, though. Vrabel talked about Smith's experiences with other quarterbacks and how he's playing to Rodgers' strengths. "I think Arthur's done things with multiple quarterbacks," Vrabel said. "I mean, is he doing what he did with Desmond Ridder when he ran zone read? No, but there's also other elements that he's done a lot of. And Aaron, having played quarterback as long as he has, he's going to have things that he likes. And so I'd say it's a blend." One thing Smith should get a lot of credit for is his flexibility with his offenses based on his quarterback. He has experience with a myriad of quarterbacks, ranging from Ryan Tannehill to Desmond Ridder and now Aaron Rodgers. Even last year, he did a good job of altering the offense with Justin Fields and then Russell Wilson starting. Week 1 was a beautiful introduction, but things were much worse in Week 2. Smith wasn't able to utilize Rodgers rolling out of the pocket as much, and the offense just couldn't get into any kind of rhythm. Yet, it's just Week 3, and there's plenty of time for things to blend even more. Arthur Smith is going to call his plays. But it would be foolish to not allow Aaron Rodgers to use his mind as a weapon at the line of scrimmage. For this marriage to work, the Steelers are going to need more from their offensive line and some of their skill position players. Vrabel acknowledges the threat these two pose, but there's certainly some work still to be done.